Hello and welcome. My name is Amir, and in this video we're going to solve the puzzle on day 3 of Advent of Code 2023. So let's go and try to solve it. Here on day 3, the story is about an engine and some gear. I will skip this part, and here it says that the engineer explains that an engine part seems to be missing from the engine. And we cannot figure out which part it is. If we add up all the part numbers that are these numbers that are here, we should find out the part number that is missing. But that's not so easy. There is a condition here. And it says that any number that is adjacent to a symbol is a part number. So, looking at this schema, this is a part number because it's adjacent to a star. This is not a part number because there is no symbol next to it. All the cells around it are dots. The same is for this one. This is not a part number, and all the other numbers are part numbers, which is described here. And in the end, we need to add all the numbers that are part numbers together and to get some number in the end. Okay. So the way I want to solve this is that I will try to go from top left, and I would look at every character that I see. If that character is a number like this, I will keep the index and go forward until I get to a cell that is not a number. Then I have found a number like this. Then for that number, I will look around all the adjacent to find any symbol. If I found any symbol, then I would consider that number a part number. So let me go with this one. This might be a little bit easier to understand. So I will start from here. Let's skip these numbers. We get to here. We get to here. This is a number, so I will keep the index of this. I will move forward until I get to here. When I get to here, this is a number. I will keep this number, and I will look to the top from 1 before this index, which is here, up to 1 after this, so this part. If there is a symbol, this is a part number. I will do the same substring from the bottom. If there is a symbol here, which is here, then this is a part number. If not, I will take a look at this and then take a look at this. And in the end, if I found all the part numbers, I will add them all together and the problem is solved. So the explanation was easy. Let's see how the coding is. Let me first grab this part and go here to my input, paste it. Great, and let's go here. I am reading the input from the data that I have. Then let me grab the rows and the columns. Like so, we have the number of the rows and the number of the columns. And let me define a founds array, which will include all the founds number, the part numbers that we have found. Great. Then, as I said, we need to go from here up to here. So I need to have 2 for loops, one for each row and one for each cell. So let me do that here. So my fors are ready now. Then let me grab the number or the character, which is the input at index I, index j. Then if that character is not a number, then I will continue. I don't care about that number, that character I mean. So continue. Otherwise, I will store it as a number because I want to add this as I go along. So for example, here I would find 3, I will store number 3 and then would add 5 to it. So that's for that part. And then here is the while that I will go from here forward until I get to a character which is not a number. So while we are going forward and we don't pass the end of the row. Let me make this like this and maybe a little bit bigger. Great. Now I would check to see if that number is a number, then I would add it to the num that I have here. So I'm using j here because I am going forward here. So I need to have j here. If this great, and this will be stored as a string. So to make myself sure, I would add this here so that it's not converted to a number when we get here. So if we found the number, we would go forward. Otherwise, we would just break out of the while loop. Great. Now let me log all the numbers that I have found. So I'm getting all the numbers here. Next part is that for each of these numbers, I need to figure out the top part, the bottom part, the left character and the right character. So here I would say that the top is, if we are in the topmost row, we don't need to look upwards because there is nothing on top of it. So I would say that if I is 0, we don't need to check. We would think that it's an empty string on top of it, which means that we don't need to check. Otherwise, it would be input from I minus 1, which is the previous row, and then we would substring on that from j minus length of the number. Now having the number as a string helps us here because we can use the length to see the length of the number here. Then we would go even 1 to the left of that up to j plus 1 numbers. So this means that if I go here, so if I, for example, I am here, now j would be here, so we would subtract the length of the number, which is 3, from it, and then would go 1 before that and would go 1 up. So we would be starting from here and would go up to here. So this is for the top part. The bottom would be the kind of the same but with a little bit of change. So here, if I is the same as rows minus 1, which means that we are on the bottom row, we don't need to check, just like here. Otherwise, we need to look in the next row, and the rest is the same. 1 before the number and 1 until 1 after the number. So I'm getting these two parts. Now the left character, which we consider as a string as well, is just the input at index I, because we are at the current row, and then j minus num dot length minus 1, the same as here. This would be the character to the left. And if this goes out bounds, so for example here it would go out bound, we would provide a empty string so that we don't get to problems when we are doing the check. For the right, we are already here when we find the when we get out of the number, so to say. So if we are in 592 and when we get to here and get out of the while loop, the j is here, so we don't need to update the j here. So this will be just this input ij, and if this goes out bounds, then to stay on the safe side we provide an empty string here as well. Great, so let's up to now see what we have. So here I would just log the number and the, let's say, top, right, bottom and left, just like the CSS, top, right, bottom and left. And let's run this to see what we get. Okay, now we get 4, 6, 7, and then we get 1 to the right, which is correct, and this is the bottom part, 4 digits, as you can see here, it's correct. For 114 we don't have top, we have 1 here, which is correct. Then we have the bottom, which is also correct, and then we have the right, which is correct. So let me find one of them that is in the middle, right? 592. 592, the top part is this part, which is correct. Messed it up. Then we have 1 dot to the left and 1 dot to the right, which is correct, and the bottom row is something like this, which is also correct. So I believe we are in the right track now. So instead of logging this, we need to check all of these chunks of the string and see if either of them includes a symbol. So I would say if let me define a helper function here and say if has symbol on the top or on the bottom, on the right and on the left. It's not important to which one is first, which one is the second here. If one of them has at least one of them has a symbol next to it, then we need to say that we want to add it to the founds. And now we can convert the number to num, because as you can see we use the string of that number so that we could use the length of it here. Now when we found it and we know it's a part number, we can convert it to a number so that we could add it later on. Let's go and then write this function here. So I would say this has symbol is a function that would probably get just one. Yes, so it gets a string and it would do a check on that. Here we would say that if string has a length, first of all, and we would provide this so that we are on the safe side. And if the string has all the characters that are not dot and are not number, So looking at here, if I get this chunk, I need to check all of these characters to see if they are not dot and they are not numbers. So this is a symbol. Then we can find a symbol because we don't know which symbol is going to be presented. We know that it's not a number and it's not a dot. So I would say that first split that string into an array so that we could use the find method on that array, and then we get the x, and we would say that if it's not a number and it's not the dot character, if that's the case, then return true. It has a symbol. Otherwise, return false. I hope it's clear. So each character, if the character is not a number, and also it's not a dot, then it's a symbol, so we return true. Otherwise, we return false. So has symbol is basically done. What else do we want to do here? Founds.push this. And when all these fours are finished, I believe we can then log the fonts array and see if that's correct or not. So if I run it again and check it against here, 467 is correct, then 35 is correct, 633 is also correct, 617 correct. This should be excluded. 592 is correct, 775 is correct next to this one, and these two are correct. We should add these numbers together in the end. So let's say A and C, and then just A plus C starting at 0. And if I run it again, we get to 4361, which is this number, which is correct. So let's get the input here, and sorry, not this input, but this one. So copy this one here, go to input, paste it here, remove the last line, and run. 551094. Go here, paste it here. Great, we got the right answer. So let's go to the next part. So it says that there is a missing gear that is not working properly. So there is a missing part. That was not the only issue. One of the gears in the engine is wrong. A gear is any star symbol, so this can be a gear that is adjacent to exactly two part numbers. Okay. So in this case, I believe this is a gear. Then what else? This is not a gear. And this is a gear because it's adjacent to two numbers. Okay. This time you need to find the gear ratio of every gear, and the gear ratio is the result of multiplying those two numbers together. Okay, so for example here we need to multiply this by this for this gear. Consider the same engine. Okay, so as described in the schematic here, we have two gears, which is this one and this one. And then we would multiply these two and add these together. This is a bit tricky because if we want to find this and then based on this go to the surroundings and then find the number, so for example from here we go to 7 and then we need to go to left and to right to find this number, and then do the rest, do the same for like here and then here and then here. It's gonna get a little bit tricky and messy. So the thing that I'm thinking about is that now that I know all the numbers here, I would again look around the number. So for example, here I found the 35. I will look around it and find all the stars. And then for all those stars, I would provide a dictionary. Say, okay, now in 35, I found a star in the position, let's say 1 and 0, 1, 2, 3. So in 1, 3, I found a star that is connected to 34. So I would say something like this. I would have a dictionary and I would say 1, 3, which is the position of my star is 35, has the 35 inside it. Then it also has the 4, 6, 7. So it has the 4, 6, 7, and so on. So let me grab part 1 from here and paste it all on top of this, and then remove the parts that I don't want. I don't need these fonts anymore, and I don't need to check here, and I don't need to do this. And I believe the top, bottom, left, and right are also needed, but we need to do something else with them. So if I go down here, after I found the substrings, I would call a function find gears, and then I would provide the string that I am on it, so top, for example, and then the number that we already found. So for this number, I found this on the top of it, and this number is positioned at I minus 1, and then j minus num dot length minus 1. So these are the numbers that I'm passing up, so that when I found the gear, I would use these numbers to index the gear position, so to say. So let's go and write the find gears part. Let me have it here. So this function will get a string, will get a number, and I and j to make it easier for us to understand. And then, so let me say for each character. So let's say k, going from 0 until to str.length, and then add to the k. Then the character is the str at that character k. Then I need to check that if character is a star, then find the index of that star, just creating an index that would be used as the key of the dictionary. So it can be anything that makes sense with I and j, but I would just say I, and then let's say dash, and then j plus k, which is the position of that index, because we are starting at j and we are going k characters forward until we find the star, right? So this is the index of the dictionary. Then if the, let's say, gears dictionary, which I need to define it up here, const gears dictionary, which I spelled wrong, is an empty. So gears dictionary at that index, either that exists or not. If it exists, then we need to add the number to the list. So get the gears of that index and then add the number to it. And you can parse it here as well, because we are going to use it later on as a number. And otherwise we would just create an array with only that number, and of course parse int of that number, like so. Okay, so this is finding the gears. Based on that, there is only one thing that is missing, and that is I would check to see if I'm going out of bounds from the J column or not. So for example here, that at 551 we need to find it from here, so it would be J would be -1 up to 4. So I need to say if J is -1, then consider it 0, so that it doesn't get to error here. Let's say 0, otherwise J, so to stay on the safe side here. Okay, so I think this would give us the gears here. So let's find the gears on top, and when this is found, where is the 4 here? Now here I can log the gears dictionary, and let me go to the simple one here. So getting to an error here. Okay, I need to remove this part. And these parts. I'm getting 13 is 35 and 85 is 598, which is correct because for this I'm going only up, so 35 is being added to the star, and then 598, which is this number, has a star here. Okay, so let's add the other conditions that we had here, these ones, bottom, left, and right. So find gears on the bottom, and we should go like one row beneath, and the rest is the same as the top. For the left, num is num, I is whatever it was, J is the same as these two. For the right, num is num, I is the same because we're in the same row, and J is J because we are already past that number. So we would find the gears for all of these locations, and let me see, what do I get? If I am looking at here, for gear at index 1, 3, so 1 and 3, which is this one, I have 4, 6, 7, and I have 35, which is correct. Then for 4 and 3, so which for this one we have 6, 1, 7. For 8 and 5, which is this one, we have these two. Okay, so this is working perfect. Now the only thing I need to do is multiply. First, grab these two, which has 2 items inside it, then multiply these two numbers and add all of them together. Not this. I would go here and say, let's say V is the values of the dictionary that we have. That's the only thing I care about, gears dictionary. Then filter the ones that are having the length of 2. Then map them, each of them, to the multiplication of these 0 and 1. So x at index 0 times x at index 1, and then add all of them together. So reduce, let's say a and x again, and then a plus x starting at 0. Okay, run it, and I need to log this value 467835, 467835, which is correct. Let's get this and put it here, save, and hopefully we get the correct number here. Great. Thank you for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video and learned something here. If that's the case, please provide a like, maybe comment something if you have any ideas, and even subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.